Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council to order for November 7th, 2013 at 8:01 p.m. On roll call, council members Catamagna.
Here.
Castiglia is absent as he's on vacation. Conboy.
Here.
Pettigano.
Here.
Bonsino.
Here.
Coletti.
Here.
Mayor Mola.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for a prayer and flag salute? Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting with your trusted fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant therein the keen sense of justice and the greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Amen.
Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Law of the State of New Jersey requires the commencement of every meeting a statement by the presiding officer. Now therefore be advised, this meeting requirements have been met by publishing an article in the annual notice in the Record of Hackensack and the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk as well as a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1, 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videoed. I honestly don't know what the dates are, because we have to turn, every 6 months, we have to go to cable, submit a new application, and they give us new dates. So, do you have the dates, Keith?
I do not, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to read the dates we had before. Tuesday at 12 noon, Thursday at 4 p.m., and Friday at 11 a.m. You can turn that on, or you can look at our website. As soon as we find out what the new dates are, if they change them, I'll give that to you. I don't know why they do it every 6 months, and maybe they have something in their own contract that they have to do it, but it's a pain in the neck because we're always changing.
Mayor, this evening, under the approval of minutes, we have the October 3rd, 2013 regular meeting, the October 17th, 2013 regular meeting, and the October 24th, 2013 work session.
Motion to approve
So moved.
or accept. Moved by Mr. Bonsino, seconded by Mr. Catamagna. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So ordered.
I'm busy right now.
Mayor, this evening, under ordinances on first reading, we have Resolution 338-13, introduce ordinance 13-28 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance amending ordinance 2-63.1 of the Borough Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Fees Charged by the Borough Clerk's Office be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, December 5th, 2013 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing is required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Conboy, second. Mr. Catamagna, discussion? This the second reading? No, first reading. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Catamagna.
Yes.
Castiglia is absent.
Yes.
Conboy. Pettigano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, next we have Resolution 339-13. This is the change to the fee schedule for the fire alarm and false alarm ordinance, I should say. And in speaking with Chief Johnson this afternoon, he is recommending that the council table this ordinance until the work session of next week, which he will be in attendance. He would like to review this ordinance prior to introduction.
Motion to table if you want to accept the chief's advice.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Bonsino, second by Mr. Coletti. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, just...
Excuse me. No discussion on tabling motions. My mistake.
Oh, okay. I'll say it.
Call the roll.
I don't want to say it later.
Save it.
On roll call to table Resolution 339-13, introduction of ordinance 13-29. Council members Catamagna.
Yes.
Castiglia is absent.
Yes.
Conboy. Pettigano.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Motion to table passes. Sorry. Were you going to say
I'm
something?
sorry.
No, I'll say it later.
Yeah, it's fine.
This evening, ordinances under second reading, we have Resolution 340-13, introduce ordinance 13-27 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled a bond ordinance to authorize the construction of ADA handicap access curb ramps at Market Street and Midland Avenue in, by, and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $250,000 to pay for the cost thereof and to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such an appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, October 17th, 2013, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. Now, whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park, that an ordinance entitled a bond ordinance to authorize the construction of ADA handicap access curb ramps at Market Street and Midland Avenue in, by, and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $250,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, and to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in the anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Motion open to the public again?
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Boncino, Mr. Conboy, any discussion, all in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to hear or speak on this ordinance? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting.
Mayor will
May I
need-
have a motion on the ordinance, please?
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Boncino, any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I just don't notice here that it's going to cost us $30,000. It says architect's fee, accounting, engineering. Can we have the breakdown for this? Do you know the breakdown?
Through you, Mayor, Councilman, that is an estimation of the soft costs that are associated with this project. Once the financing is put in place, we will have the cost estimates
So now we
provided to
don't
the
have
council
that.
at a work session.
All right,
Okay?
thank you.
I also believe, Mr. Kazmark, that this money will be reimbursed by the county to us.
Yes, and that is inclusive of the soft cost.
The total amount, I think is 12,000.
We have to pay for the bonding, they give us everything back.
All right, well, we pay some of the money here.
Call roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Catamania?
Yes.
Castiglia is absent. Conboy?
Yes.
Patagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to
Ladies and
the,
gentlemen, that ordinance we just passed, the money is reimbursed to us by the county. So it's not our money.
Mayor, moving on to the consent agenda, we have Resolution 341-13, payment of bills, Resolution 342-13, confirmation of escrow checks, Resolution 343-13, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 344-13, approves application for service with Verizon, Resolution 345-13, approve service agreement with Met Telecommunications, Resolution 346-13, approve the 2013 Municipal Alliance Grant Extension, Resolution 347-13, refund liquor license application fees, 0211-33, 024-003. Resolution 348-13, refund patient copay for the Recreation Department. Resolution 349-13, release cash performance bond, Bankers Financial Corp. Resolution 350-13, resolution objecting to a proposed detention basin discharging into Fleischer's Brook. Resolution 351-13, resolution supporting the Fugitive Safe Surrender Program. Resolution 352-13, dedication by rider, Federal Equitable Sharing Account. Resolution 353-13, approve services for the 2013 calendar year from Nature's Choice. Resolution 354-13, resolution to redeem third-party tax lien for Block 1809, Lot 18. Resolution 355-13, transfer of funds. Resolution 356-13, award emergency water main and sewer main repair bid for Colonelli Brothers. And that concludes the consent agenda.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second.
Second.
Mr. Boncino, any discussion? On Resolution R-350, this is a letter from us opposing any type of water coming in from Saddlebrook into Fleischer Brook. So we're objecting to that, and our engineer has sent a letter to them, and I've been in discussion with the mayor of Fairlawn. They're also having some problems with this also. quite frankly, no water, as far as I'm concerned, should be allowed into Fleischer's Brook from Fairlawn, Saddlebrook, or anywhere else till we complete everything we have to do and alleviate any more flooding coming into Saddlebrook, into Fleischer Brook. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Catamania?
Yes.
Castiglia is absent. Conboy?
Yes.
Patagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Mayor, this evening, under departmental reports, we have the municipal court report for September 2013, the Department of Public Works report for September 2013, Recreation Department report for October 2013, and the Board of Recreation minutes for September 23rd, 2013.
Motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Coletti
Second.
and Bonsino. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, councilmembers Catamania?
Yes.
Castiglia is absent. Conboy?
Yes.
Patagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Motion carries. And under applications, we have the American Legion Post 147 raffle license, the Bergen County Technical High School raffle license application, and the Bergen County Technical High School bingo application.
Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Conboy, second.
Second.
Catamania, any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, councilmembers Catamania?
Yes.
Castiglia is absent. Conboy?
Yep.
Patagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, that concludes my portion of the agenda.
Mr. Kazmark, did you record Mr. Conboy's yep?
I certainly did.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I only have a few more opportunities to throw them off.
Thanks.
Committee reports, Mr. Catamania.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor, the attorneys are here tonight. Normally, when they don't come, they send somebody else. No? What happened? Did he call?
He couldn't get anybody. He called me late today. Called me late today and said he couldn't get anybody. I said, that's fine. I don't think we're going to have any
No
questions.
problem? Oh.
No problem. If there's
In case, you know, we need.
if there's a legal problem, we can get in touch with him tomorrow.
Okay,
because
thank you.
Frank, is your microphone on? Yeah, sorry.
Usually. Good? Oh, thank God.
They were saying.
My voice is cracked. I don't want a phone to be cracked. Can you hear me? No. Nobody at all? Oh, no. I guess we need a new system. New people bring a new system here.
No, the blower's on.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, he wanted me to say now, people don't understand.
Oh, they can.
I have trouble with
Did
this.
anyone not hear me before? See, they can hear. He's- No, you can't take that off. It'll go off. Frank,
It's hot.
what
Okay, Mayor?
what you have to do is the equipment is right alongside you, if you can make it louder.
Oh, to make a lot of it, try it, doesn't work.
I don't think
He
he
told me
wants
not to touch it.
Well, if you make it...
Are we
What?
on film with this?
Audio's fine.
Your audio's fine?
Oh, what about people?
Frank,
Put your-
Okay.
directly into the microphone.
Go ahead, Frank.
Right into the microphone. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Good evening. I want to congratulate Joe Dombrowski, Stephen Martino for their victory on November 5th to the council. Congratulations. And I also want to congratulate Kit Canizzo, Luis Gerardi, and Daniel Goloback for their victory to the Board of Education. Congratulations, guy. You did a beautiful job. Daniel, especially you. You worked very hard. I tell you, you should be on TV. I watched a program before, and they interviewed a kid 18 years old, just like you, and was congratulated by many, many people. Good. I like that, Daniel. Also, the Assembly, and we have Benji Wimbley, and Shivanda Samter, and Nellie Paul in the Senate. Congratulations to them. The only thing I have is that the homeowner meeting that took place October 30th at the Recreation Building, and it's supposed to be meet your candidates, and the only people I saw there was only the Democrats came to the meeting. I didn't see the Republicans. I have nothing else to say, so congratulations to all of you. Thank you again for your support. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Conboy?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of personal notes I'd like to make tonight, but before I do that, I will just like to comment on the homeowners meeting, since Councilman did. I did send a personal note to the Mrs. Cole a couple of days prior to the homeowners meeting, explaining that I had a work commitment I could not get out of. If anyone doesn't believe me, I can show you the video. I left the CYO Center in Kearney 11:30 at night. I could not make the meeting. I did ask her to please acknowledge all the people who attended and thank the board for inviting me. That's on that note. A couple of personal notes. I would like to pass on my sympathies to our pastor at St. Leo's, Father Mike Donovan. He lost his father last week, and if you talk to him for a few minutes about his dad, you can see how passionate he is about his dad, so my sympathies go out to Father Mike. As well as this week, we learned the passing of Peter Tenkate, our representative for Boswell Engineering. Pete's a great man, and you know it from his mom. His mom lived 91 years. She had a beautiful life. On another personal note, I'd like to say that
His
Okay.
mother passed away.
his mother, did I say his father? I
No,
said-
it was a little confusing.
Oh, I thought he said his mom. Did I not say his mom?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's a weird night, it looks like. Testing. I'm sorry. I meant to say on his mom. His mom lived 91 great years, and Pete's a great guy and has served this community very well for all the years that he has. Just on another personal note, today we see more and more of the social media world. We see so much more of people that hide behind blogs and write a lot of nasty things and so forth, and it takes a toll on a lot of people. But I really want to commend one of our own residents, Gary Nova, one of our own hometown kids. Last couple of weeks, it's been kind of tough being the quarterback of a big football program. Gary had a stellar game last week, showed all his critics he can fight back. He gets up and he fights back. I've known Gary since he was shorter than this counter here. He has a wonderful family, his mom and dad, George and Daisy, and his other two brothers, Ryan and Miles. It's a pleasure when people come into St. Leo's and see his banner on our inside gym wall, and also see his achievements as a basketball player. And last week, there was a lot of young children there, all looking at his name and asking questions. Did he really score over 2,000 points? And did the quarterback from Rutgers really go to school here at St. Leo's and live in Elmwood Park? So Gary, again, congratulations on a great game the other night, last week. He was also announced on Monday. He was the ACC Offensive Player of the Week, second time this season, fourth in his starting career, twice last year in the Big East. So Gary, thank you. Keep throwing them. We'll keep cheering. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Valenzuela?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. First, a quick comment on the resolution that we tabled. It's in regard to penalties for false alarms that we set. And our current ordinance right now, you're allowed one false alarm, and then there's a penalty on the second alarm. And so we're trying to strike a balance between when we penalize, trying to look at, are we creating an undue burden on our residents? And also looking at, are we creating an undue burden on our police department? Because we don't have a lot of elasticity in terms of manpower. So we're trying to strike a balance. And there are some things that aren't quite right with the ordinance. We're going to take it up at our next work meeting, review it again to make sure we have it right, and then we'll put it back on the agenda for our first public meeting in December. On Monday, November 11th, is Veterans Day. And many of us mistakenly believe that that day we set aside to honor American military that were killed in combat. But however, that's Memorial Day. On Veterans Day, we honor all Americans, American veterans, both living and dead. In fact, Veterans Day is largely intended to thank the living veterans for dedicated and loyal service to our country. November 11th each year is the day that we ensure veterans know that we deeply appreciate the sacrifices that they have made to keep our lives and country free. So on Monday, please go out of your way to thank a veteran for his or her service to our country. And then finally, I think this is our last public meeting before Thanksgiving. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving holiday with their families, and we'll see you in December.
Thank you. Mr. Coletti?
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Dombrowski and Mr. Martino on their win. I can relate to that, their first win. It's very exciting, and enjoy the moment because it's going to get duller. On the sadder note, I'd like to convey to Mr. Castiglia and Mr. Conboy, who are very, very active councilmen and have done a lot for this town. The sadness that goes along with that, and I've been there also. So there's a high and then there's a low. And I'm sure that if it's in your blood, this isn't the last we'll see of you or Larry. Pursuant to our fire department, I will be attending their next chief's meeting on November 11th, and we'll have a status report at our next public meeting. Regarding the JIF, our joint insurance fund, I'm happy to report that the Elmwood Park will be receiving a dividend of $29,908. Once again, that tells me that the fund is being managed properly when they can disperse the dividend. Concerning our school board, a lot of this is old news, but I do think it's important to mention it. At October 29th meeting, the board presented a PowerPoint illustration of their proposed $10 million referendum, with $6 million coming from local taxes and the balance of $4 million coming from the state, and that breaks down to about 40 cents on the dollar. Some of the highlights of that PowerPoint: all funds are earmarked for health and safety issues only. Major water-related repairs throughout the district's buildings. Approximately 43,000 square feet of roofing to be remediated. There's some roofs that are 45 years old, and just think about your own roof. You get a 20, 25-year guarantee on it, and to tell you the truth, I'd like to know who that contractor was to allow those roofs to last this long. We certainly got our money's worth out of them. There will also be remediation to existing buildings to accommodate more classrooms due to student population growth. The financing will go through Bergen County to achieve a lower interest rate. And based on the assessed home value of $333,000, the additional tax levy will be an average of $71 per year over 20 years. The voting date scheduled for the referendum is January 28, 2014. Polls will open at 2 p.m. and closing at 9 p.m. Mayor, that concludes my report.
We talking about the library?
No.
Mr. Pettigrew?
Thank you, Mayor. As of November 7th, the Health Department will be holding a free blood pressure health consultation on November 12th. That's a Tuesday at the Senior Center, or the other half of the rec center. All Elmwood Park and Lodi residents are welcome. Flu shots will be available at this location also. Appointment is not needed. A free flu shot with Medicare B or $25 for all others. The Child Health Clinic, free immunizations for infants and children 18 years or younger. This is for uninsured families. You can receive flu shots for children. Child health clinics are open to Elmwood Park and Lodi. All visits are by appointment at the Elmwood Park Health Department in the municipal building on the bottom floor. You can call 201-996-2038 to make an appointment. And also the Affordable Health Care Marketplace for uninsured citizens enrollment begins October 1st, which we all knew. Online enrollment is www.healthcare.gov. Enroll by phone is 1-800-318-2596. And for general enrollment information, it's 1-800-706-7830. And if anybody in the audience needs more information, I have extra copies of this. On another note, I'd like to congratulate Joe Dombrowski, Steve Martino for their victory. They worked extraordinarily hard. Joe must have walked this whole town twice, I think. And I'd like to also thank and congratulate Keith Canizzo, Louise Girardi, and Danny Gallbeck. Like Frank said, Danny is a little bit of a superstar right now with the votes he got. And again, sympathy to Pete Tenkate in the passing of his mom. And Veterans Day is Monday, and one way to surely show your support and thank vets is to put a flag out in front of your house. I have one out every day because it's every day that we are reaping the benefits. And I'd also like to thank Tom Conboy and Mr. Castiglia for their service over the past 6 years. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, I forgot. Today I was in the municipal building, and we were there on a public service issue, and Mr. Tenkate was there, and I had said to him at the end of this meeting, you got a moment? I'd like to shoot over to the library and take a look at the parking lot there. We did eventually get there, and there are some safety issues there in terms of patching the parking lot. We do have a contractor that I believe hasn't paved Orange Ave as of now, is that correct?
It's not paved yet. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly when.
So it seemed the right idea would be to get that contractor while we have him and get a price from him to patch that library parking lot and at least get it to the point of where we can get, I would say minimum 2 years out of those patches so that the library eventually can figure out what they're doing. And I think it all makes common sense to all of us, the fact that the last thing you do when you're going to do a major renovation is pave the parking lot. But we do have a safety issue there. And that is my prime concern, resolving that safety issue, and I will bring it up with the council later on this evening.
Is there any objection to Mr. Tenkate finding out how much it would cost, a few $1,000s to pave just where it's really bad, and then we'll get back to everybody? Okay, we'll do that. Thank you. In regard to Mr. Tenkate losing his mother, many of us have suffered that unfortunate consequence, but Pete unfortunately lost his mother-in-law 2 weeks earlier. So it's been a very difficult blow for Pete Tenkate and his wife, and our hearts go out to both of them. Nice people. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard? Please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and we do have another meeting in the back to discuss salary, so we can make it short. We'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Rich Chowinski, 42 Walnut Street. Excuse my voice, I got a cold. I heard mention of the library parking lot. Well, in fact, when I was on the council 1 or 2 years ago, this came up, that the library parking lot should be put on our road program to pave. And Bob, I don't know if you remember, but you weren't there at the time. The library had in excess of $1.1 million in their funds. And I brought to their attention that they should pave it in the meantime or do what they had to do and not burden the taxpayers. Now bear in mind that this $1.1 million did come from the taxpayers. Over every year we were paying $850,000 through our assessed value to the library. The budget was $6.25, so you do the math and see what was left over. Now this fund is being earmarked for an addition, which I'm not totally against remodeling the library, but as I've been outspoken before, repair the library to the tune of $400,000 and the rest would go back to the taxpayers, as recommended by the state library boards. Any excess funds in excess of 20% of your budget should be returned to the taxpayers for tax relief only. And I just can't see why we're going to dump good town money onto patches that should have been done already with the funds they have there. Thank you.
Rich, if I can address that, and you'll know where I'm coming from. We have a safety situation here, and to be perfectly honest, I don't care where the money comes from. I'd like to see the safety issue resolved. And from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, Mayor, we own that property.
Correct.
And now that we're aware of the fact that there's a possible safety issue, we're on a hook for that. And I'm looking at a temporary patch situation just to arrest the problem. And anything after that, it goes where it
Well,
goes.
I understand that position because I said that a year ago or 2 years ago. I said that library, somebody's gonna get hurt. Our insurance people from JIF were out, because I was on the insurance committee, and recommended that we do something. We were told, well, we were gonna put an addition off to the side, and I recommended to pave it, fix it, because you could do the addition from the side street instead of entering through the parking lot. Now at the last minute, it's a burden again, but still, it's a burden to the taxpayers with any dollars when there is excess funds there to the tune of over $1 million is wrong. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? Judge, first to last, under 15 minutes, please.
George Nestori, 2 Sabo Court. A few questions. Number one, I think what Richie brought up is a good idea, because if they got $1.1 million in their excess, and you got that paving coming on, that program coming on at Market Street, maybe you can coincide that with the paving of the entire parking lot if it needs it, and get a better price, because the equipment...
George, if you allow me to interrupt. We have a window closing, a weather window closing on us. We have basically 2 or 3 weeks to react in terms of the paving season, and that's my concerns.
You mean on the patching?
On the patching.
Well, I'm just saying, well, that's a thought. This 15-inch overflow pipe from Saddlebrook, did you discuss this with anyone in Saddlebrook at all to see what their mentality is? Or is P10K involved, or is Boswell Engineering involved with Saddlebrook?
The pipe is there already.
I know, but is Boswell involved with Saddlebrook as well?
Boswell has contacted Fairlawn. Fairlawn's opposed to it, and so are we. And we will do whatever we have to do to keep any additional water from coming into Elmwood Park. Whatever fits through that 15-inch pipe, fits through that 15-inch pipe.
All right, so what happens if the Board of Adjustment doesn't go along with our resolution?
We'll come to that bridge when it happens.
And we can appeal?
If they approve it, if Saddlebrook approves it, they've got to get rid of the water. It's not coming into Elmwood Park. What can I tell you, George?
Okay.
I've gone through this once before
With that?
with the county and Saddlebrook.
At Fleischer's Brook, you got to put them on the list again for dredging for next spring. Got to be prepared if the monsoons start coming in April.
We don't have monsoons, George.
I know. You don't have to be sarcastic and arrogant.
No, because you said the same thing last time. We'll do it.
But you don't listen. You don't do anything.
George, we do a lot, George.
Okay. But maybe you can go to the county and have the dredge set up again?
George, it's being done. I've already indicated to our engineer that when we start working on the widening of Fleischer Brook beyond Kip Avenue, that we coordinate with the county to clean the brook and the diversionary line that's down further, and also the culvert between Kip and Martha. That's all.
Is that in the works? Is that going to happen before the spring?
George, I don't know. We've been trying to do the park, the Garfield Waterworks Park, for 2 years. Working with the county is not always the best thing.
All right, now the storm drains, let's make sure after the leaves fall that they're cleaned out before the spring.
Yes.
If they weren't done last year, and we were lucky that we didn't get the amount of rain we'd normally get in spring.
Okay.
But they would have been a major disaster, because in the spring, we had some, fairly good rainstorms. They weren't gigantic rainstorms, and we started getting backed up on the street. So we just want to mention that before that happens, and make sure that these storm drains are cleaned out. I know that it's been going on deaf ears, but I mentioned to you about resident parking, and it seems like nobody wants to react. I know you're opposed to it, and I don't know what your reasoning is for opposing it, but whatever your reasoning is for opposing it, I'll give you reasoning for approving it. So I don't know if you guys ever discuss anything like that, but that's something that you should discuss. It would save the taxpayers a lot of money. There's a major parking problem in a lot of the cul-de-sacs where there's a lot of two-family homes, and there's residents coming and going, and people don't know who's supposed to be there and who's not supposed to be there. And you're gonna look at me, and you're not gonna do anything, and nobody's gonna discuss it. You go in the back room, you can save on any illegal residents, you can save on the amount of water that they discharge, sewage that they discharge, the parking that they take that they shouldn't be. And you say, we don't know how many of these students come to us, of these parents come to our school system. It's a win all the way around, but you won't discuss it because you don't want to do it, Rich. I've been telling you this for years. You go to Garfield, go to any town that needs parking and has a lot of two-family homes especially, and find that if they have resident parking, they swear by it. And there's no reason not to discuss it, there's no reason not to implement it. There's all types of ordinances throughout the area that you can get that were upheld, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just get these ordinances and discuss them and take the best of what they have and implement it. So you protect the town, the taxpayers. That's all I'm saying. You won't do anything. I know you won't do anything. And hopefully the new council will.
Thank you, George.
All right?
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Will Manili, 221 Washington Ave. I just want to bring something to your attention that was brought to my attention by a member of the DPW that will remain nameless, but that there are a number of fire hydrants in town that do not work. And my understanding is that they know about it. Why they're not being fixed is, beyond me. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention because, in the event of a fire, and if one of the trucks has to hook up one of these hydrants, they're going to be in for a surprise when there's no water there. So, that's it. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I can't do anything about it. So
We'll pass that on to the superintendent. I'm sure he's aware of any of them that aren't working. Anyone else?
Rich DiLorenzo, 166 Hillman Drive. First of all, I'd like to publicly want to thank Councilman Stiglia for all his service, and also Councilman Conboy for their service to the town. I think it was mentioned by Councilman Coletti, they worked extremely hard. Councilman Conboy also being liaison to the Board of Rec, which I am a member of. He did a lot of work to help the recreation in this town, and I like to thank him, and I know my colleagues send their best to him as well. I got home tonight, and just happened to read an article in the community news, and I'm a little disturbed with what I read on comments from Councilman Pettigano. I'd like to know, Councilman, since I'm now here face to face with you, how I am irresponsible being on Board of Rec, and what basis do you have in saying this publicly when I haven't seen you at a Board of Rec meeting since I've been on the board, which is 6 years. So, you have an opportunity to address me directly to what you have to write in paper, and I'd like to hear your comments.
You are the president of the board.
No, I'm not the president.
Who's the president?
No one is the president.
There's
Use the microphone, please.
Sorry, Mel. Well, I feel as though I discussed this in the past with the council in that I would like to see our rec.
Sir, excuse me, you didn't answer my question.
I know, I'm getting to that. I would like the rec commission to be changed over to an advisory committee. The reason for this is I feel as though the monies that are spent from the rec needs more oversight as far as councilmen.
You're not answering my question.
Okay. Let's go right to Cherry Hill.
No, answer my question.
Why are you,
Answer my question.
repeat the question.
Repeat the question.
Let's not be adversarial. Repeat the question, let him answer.
You said the Board of Rec and myself included in that statement, that we're irresponsible.
Right.
And how are we irresponsible?
Well, I felt as though you were irresponsible in your judgment as far as using the monies that we were getting from the state to fix
Okay,
English
we don't get
Ave
money from the
Park.
state, sir.
Okay, from the county.
Again, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. You know what, I know we're getting money, and we get money from the rec trust, and we get money from the county, okay, for open space funds. Am I correct?
What?
Yes. I felt as though it was totally reckless to spend almost $500,000 on one park within the past 2 years.
Would you have proof that we spent 500,000?
Well, I know that you spent
Do you have proof that we spent 500,000?
You spent $220,000 last year on the soccer field, I believe, and you plan on spending another $180,000 in this park.
Incorrect.
Okay. Well, it's between $400,000 and $500,000 that you're spending on one park.
Mr. Tagano, we
That's-
can go all night with this. You have no facts, as usual.
I do have facts.
Yeah,
The
well,
facts
you
are,
haven't come up with one fact yet, sir.
the facts are that Cherry Hill Park was a disaster. Cherry Hill Park was ignored. It was also mentioned by your liaison that it is a particular problem up there as far as its needs. And its needs were ignored, totally ignored.
Incorrect.
No, not
Yes,
incorrect.
incorrect.
No.
Excuse me,
Look, I don't want to
excuse
go
me,
through
Jim.
this
Excuse
now.
me.
I'd be
Mr.
happy to sit down with you
No,
at any time.
you've been
Excuse me,
very,
Mr. Di Lorenzo,
Mr.
Please.
Mayor, excuse me, I have the floor.
I'm the mayor. Okay? Make your
Excuse
statement,
me, Mayor.
make your statement, okay? You can direct one or two, but I don't want this to be a 20-minute back and forth. If he doesn't have the answers that you want, please point out the mistakes that he's making, and then we'll move on.
We're gonna be here all night if I point out all the mistakes he's making.
Well, you can make a,
He's trying to wiggle his way out of it.
you can make a statement as to what mistakes you think he's made.
Fine,
and
I will
then-
go this far. I'm inviting you to the next Board of Rec meeting, personally, in front of everyone here. You can come and say what you need to say to my colleagues, and please, come with your facts. Because this article is downright shameful. It is, it's shameful.
Cherry Hill Park was shameful. Cherry Hill Park was dangerous. And you decided to put money into another park.
Sir.
When you could have put the money, excuse me, when you could have put the money into a park that needed it. You could have put that hockey rink up there, put up lights, fix the parking, clean the park up. Instead, you want to put the money into English Ave Park 2 years in a row when there's many parks in this town that need attention. The marina, the Elmwood Park. Right now, in the middle of the park is sitting a cage from a soccer net. Its metal edges are sticking up. I saw a little boy about 8 years old try and drag it across. I decided to ask him not to touch it. I had all intent of going over there, pulling it out of the park, and putting it on the curb for the garbage. This is the kind of stuff, it's totally ignored. According to the state statute, rec commissioners are supposed to police and watch over these parks. I don't see any of that. All I see is decision-making being made in the rec. You probably never go to these parks, you never walk these parks very often.
Oh, okay.
Well, we don't know, because that's either you can say it or I can say it. So in any case,
Sorry.
I have total
With no
proof.
And again, you
I have total proof that.
You're showing
One at
your
a
lack
time,
of
please.
knowledge
All right.
due to the fact that we have a plan for English Ave Park. If you had come to any recreation meeting, you would have been informed.
I'm
We
sorry.
have a plan and a project to complete that park, because we do have a crisis in the town as far as fields go. But you're unaware
right.
of that because you pay no attention to the rec department, or else you would have been to a
I
meeting.
do pay
Well, then
attention
if
to
you
your
were at a
rec
meeting, sir,
department.
you would understand more instead of showing your ignorance here in front of all these people.
Well, thank
Because
you,
that plan
thank you,
was a
Rich.
2-year
Thank you,
plan.
Rich.
The rec trust money is there to do
Okay.
enhancement work.
All right,
We
let's-
as a group go after grants and use the rec trust fund. We don't go and hit the taxpayer up like your party did, wanted to do 7 years ago to do a $2.1 million renovation in that park. Did you forget about that? Talk about irresponsibility? I'm sorry to waste your time here. I'm inviting you to the
Mr. Di-
meeting.
Mr.
and I
Di
hope
Lorenzo?
you come.
It's, anybody comes to this meeting, I never had a 3 or 5 minute time period on it, so anyone can come and make their comments, so you're not wasting our time. One of the things that I do just want to bring up is that every time there's an election, people are going to go out and get more grants. And when we had, I'm sorry to say it, when I was on vacation, 2 of the council people here voted no on accepting a grant. They should have accepted the grant and brought it up anyway. Otherwise, if we had more no votes, we would have lost that money. Anyone else who wants to be heard? Mr. Kaplan?
Ralph Kaplan, Glenwood Avenue. With all this money talking, I couldn't hold back, whatever. In reference to the library over many, many years has been extremely frugal and has saved a lot of money for their future expansion. They are in the works of looking, I don't know how far they've gone, but they have been looking for an expansion, a new children's room, and various and assorted things. Now, the borough owns the property. As Mr. Coletti said, it's a hazardous condition. You have one accident there, and you're going to blow the whole $1 million that they saved, and someone is going to own the library. Gentlemen, patch the library with borough funds. Leave the library's money be for their future expansion. They have been very frugal for many, many years in various and assorted ways. Please, leave the library money alone. The borough owns the property. Pave your own backyard. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? Well, let's not go back and forth. Oh, Mr.
I
Chewinski?
just got to clarify something about the library now.
Go ahead. You're wrong, but that's all right.
So I guess we're not listening. All endowments, gifts of the library are not part of that 1.1 million. That is leftover money from taxpayer funds only. That's not included in that capital plan. Remember that now. Furthermore, I brought this up 2 years ago about patching that library, and the DPW has been patching it since. I said we should pave it, and I said you should pave it out of your funds. You have enough in there not to burden the taxpayers. To spend $1.1 million to put an addition on a library in this day and age is ludicrous. If you want to spend $400,000 to remodel it, bring it up to ADA standards, which Councilman Bonsino took apart the plan one year, and said $400,000, we could remodel it and even close up the hole in the center, save you air conditioning and heat, close up the skylights, and bring it to a first-class building, and still get the taxpayers $800,000 back. It's the taxpayers' money. It didn't come from endowments or gifts. Thank you.
Thank you. If no one else to be heard, I'm going to close the public portion.
Mayor, can I just please make a comment, if you would please just indulge me? I only got a few left. I'd just like to make some clarifications on a couple of things, and thank you, Mayor, for giving me a second. First of all, I just want to comment on the Rec Trust. The Rec Trust is monies that do not come from taxpayers' money. It comes from their revenue that they bring in and year out, and that's how it builds. And our CFO does a great job in trying to build that by moving monies around constantly to get the best interest rate for it so it can yield the most. For a very long time, the Rec Trust had sat there and was not used in a lot of different ways. But it is used to improve the parks. And for anyone to say that there's not been improvement in any of the parks, then you're not walking those parks. Because I could put out a whole list of litany of things and walk the park with every resident tomorrow and point out one new thing in almost every park, if not more than multiple things in each park. We also have a vandalism issue. We have equipment sitting still, waiting to be put in down at the DPW. But every time we put a bench there or a picnic table, it gets ruined. And also, regarding our parks, and I brought this up, and I guess maybe now, you don't have to, you try as a councilman to shield your people and to shield your staff, and you deal with it in its own way, in its own fashion. You know, none of the rec commissioners, as well as our rec director, by the way, I just got an email from her. She just received her also rec administrator certificate. She sat for the exam and she passed it as well, which is the highest rank a rec director can have, rec administrator can have in the state from her email. But staying on topic here for a second, I'm sorry, but the rec commission, you know, whether Mr. Panigano's issues he brought up are true or false about the goals and this and that, you know, the rec commission and Ms. Pugliese don't go out there and put those goals there. They ask them to be put there for practice. I don't know if they have the sharp edges he's talking about, but the rec commission and Ms. Pugliese don't have lawnmowers, don't have edgers. They don't get a billy club. They weren't given a gun. They do the best they can to facilitate to everybody. Some of the issues, when I said about needs in Cherry Hill, there are needs there. No one said there isn't. That's why it's on the list. And it's been on the list if anybody had asked the question. You know, putting a hockey rink there, if anyone who knows the area knows well, that's the old section of town. You have to, as it is now, there's no sidewalks in a lot of places in that part of town. It's very difficult to park. It only has a parking lot of 8. Where are you going to put a parking lot? You're going to tell the homeowners in that area, you're going to slop down a 30 spot parking lot somewhere? You know, a hockey rink would not be there. It would not be good for that spot. But again, not everything, and this is what upsets me with Mr. Panigano or anybody else, is that, you know, the rec commission does the best job they possibly can working with our rec director. And they've done an outstanding job. But not everything is their fault. If the grass is growing high at the Board of Ed, at the school buildings, do we blame Mr. Tomko? He has people who cut the grass. But again, I mentioned this already to the mayor and council in work sessions, that we need to address some issues to give some of our people, which will be very important. I mentioned it even to the council, if you guys remember at the last work meeting, that moving forward, depending on the, you know, whether I was still sitting here or new people were sitting here, these are issues we're going to have to tackle. Because financially, we have tried to do everything we can to keep our tax dollar down. As a matter of fact, and Mel, you know I love you to death, but I have to say this. You know I love you to death, but the Rec Trust, for one time, had a very good substantial, it was almost reaching the levels of the library. And because at that time, and I wasn't, I became their liaison, but for a number of years, the Rec Trust, a lot of years, if you look, I know Mr. Panigano and Councilman-elect Dombrowski have pulled the Oprah request all the way back down to 2004. You'll see that the Rec Trust really didn't get touched a lot other than to balance it out so it didn't fall in the red, which was a minimal number on certain areas except for summer camp. However, though, and some may say, oh, you're making a big mistake, but I don't have to worry about that anymore since Tuesday. We, as a governing body, Republicans and Democrats, took money from that trust account to help give it back to all the taxpayers of Elmwood Park. All the taxpayers. Did we say give it back to only the people who helped generate that tax fund, that trust? It went back to everybody in this room who lives in this town. You all benefited from those amounts during those difficult times, way before the 2% cap, to help bring down the tax levy here those years. I believe we did it twice. I want to say almost to $500,000 for 1 year, another 100 another year. That's Republicans and Democrats. And you know why? We all thought, no matter who was sitting here, Frank was here a lot of years, it was the right thing to do for the taxpayers. I am all for fixing the library. Years ago, when Councilman Lavancino got on, we walked everywhere. That same hole, I believe they're going to fix, is the same hole that was there then. And I do believe, Mel, and again, I love you to death, but the rec, when it makes improvements, it takes it from its trust. It doesn't come back to the taxpayers. You know, if there's extra money on Orange Avenue, I'm all for fixing the hole. I don't want anyone to get hurt. We've known that. But they have some money in their trust. If the hole is minimal, maybe it should, like Bob Coletti said, it doesn't matter where it comes from, we do need to fix it. And that's no secret, so I think we should. But however, you know, the rec got a new gym floor. That came out of the trust. It's done all these improvements. It came out of the rec trust. And thank you, Mary, for indulging me. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor,
Oh, no,
we need
you
to,
have to comment.
Yeah, we need to enter into executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss the department head salary ordinance for 2013 and negotiations with the Public Works Department for their employment contract, minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting. Mayor, we'll need a motion to go into executive.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Move, Ms. Valentino, second. Coletti, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a meeting that the public is excluded from. We're going to be discussing salaries. Thank you for coming, and if you wish to see this again on cable or on our website, Tuesday 12 noon, Thursday 4 o'clock, and Friday 11 a.m. That's Thursday 4 p.m. Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming.